Hello, I am dog sitting with this dog, Mira, who I used to take for walks back when you were a puppy. Isn't that right? And then this little guy here. This is the definition of a shitty kitty. This mischievous little fucker. Last time I was here, kept trying to plug in my iPhone, this phone, and kept slapping the plug out of the phone. And then I was writing in my notebook, or trying to, and I kept slapping the fucking pencil out of my hand. Oh, funny little guy. But guess what? I passed my psych course, which is great because it was hard as hell. That's for sure. And I'm pretty sure no one else in my class passed because of that. Because it's essentially a full-time psych course compartmentalized into like a part-time schedule. So you know what that means is 3-hour classes twice a week. And then, you know, a hell of a lot of homework on the weekend. So yeah, I passed that and I started my new semester. Finished my second day yesterday. Made some friends, all of them females who seem very, I think some of them have the, you know, gender pronoun thing going on, so I shouldn't assume that, but, you know, it's not me saying, oh, yeah, I'm getting the ladies, no. It's more like, you know, to my point of, I just tend to get along better with women than I do with men. For some reason. And now I'm doing philosophy, which is interesting. You know, I'm in my packed classroom, and now since the fall semester, my university is pretty packed itself. You know, my professor, though, still lets me, you know, comment on what he's saying, ask questions, and so forth, so I'm grateful for that. Still haven't found anyone to blaze with me, though. I'll, like, be rolling a joint, I'll be going around and be like, who wants in on this, who wants in on this, and fucking no one does, evidently. I mean, I find it helps me focus better, but, I mean, I'm not everyone, so I can't speak for everyone. But, in any case, it's, you know, here's something funny. The lady I'm dog sitting for, she used to always, like, have these, like, actually pretty wicked parties, and, I would be walking the dog, and I'd come back, and she'd be partying, and she'd be like, here, yeah, have a drink, you like scotch, right? And this is back when I drank, and I was like, yeah, sure. And she's like, yeah, 2 fingers, 2 fingers, and I was like, oh, well, why not make it 3? And she's like, yeah, sure, and you wanting more refills? Come on up. The kids are in the basement, so I was like, oh, the kids aren't great, this is gonna be like going to the kids' table. And then I go down there. Sure enough, it's all people my age or older, and actually some people that I knew. And yeah, it was pretty cool. And last time I went out for a meal with sort of my extended Filipino family. You know, this woman, she was there. We were talking about psychedelics, and she was like, you know, I'm really interested in the synthetic psychedelics. And I was like, no shit. Someone who's friends with my mom, who at the time was very, like, anti-drug just in general because of what bad drugs had done to my life, up until I bought her How to Change Your Mind by Michael Pollan. And she actually wants to try mushrooms now. The only time I've ever seen my mom high is when I accidentally gave her, like, a huge capsule full of honey oil. And this was right after she had, like, a bad concussion and injury. I thought it was CBD. When I went to buy it, I was like, I want CBD and nothing other than CBD. Please, 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 for the love of God, nothing but CBD. And they're like, yeah, this is CBD, this is CBD. So I gave her a big fucking gel capsule. And for 6 hours, I just had to play like calming music and just stroke her hand and be like, Mom, you're not dying, you're just high, okay? It'll be over soon enough. But yeah, I'm excited, but I also, you know, I'm simultaneously, I know that, you know, philosophy and psychology is something that, you know, we can only take one so far in our adventures. You know, like I want to be able to help people with psychedelics. You know, I can't at this stage in medicine, where psychology is still considered not even a science. There's no way I'll be able to do that. But another thing is, I wanted to talk about, you know, how I think it's just necessary for my well-being to get off methadone and while I've never done, you know, ayahuasca, I've done, you know, chonga and stuff like that. I'm not saying I'm going to do ayahuasca to get off of it, because that would probably just be a bad idea, because it doesn't have any affinity for the opioid receptors. So I'm probably just going to get really sick and hallucinate like crazy. But, you know, something I've heard that's similar but even more intense is ibogaine or ibogaine, depending on who you ask, tomato, fucking whatever. And there are many ibogaine clinics in BC. And, like the person who taught me holotropic breathing, like she's an interesting person, because it's, you know, like she's lived a very crazy kind of like, you know, spiritual wayward person's life, and isn't your average new age, you know, fucking middle-aged white woman. But she like really wasn't a big fan of me attaining, you know, sort of spirituality through proxy with psychedelics. She wasn't a big fan of that, but she is, you know, good friends with people in the Canadian Psychedelic Association, who do psychedelic retreats, and she kept saying, you know, you should do ibogaine. And I've also had DMT trips where they told me ibogaine is the next step in your life. That's what you should be doing. I mean, I also do, at this point, admittedly, feel drawn to trying the synthetic 5-MeO-DMT again. But, I mean, it's not something I would do alone, because, you know, as I've stated in previous videos, it doesn't have that sort of safety catch of, you know, putting your body to sleep while you're breaking through. So I've seen videos of people doing it and like, they're flailing about and everything, because you're, you know, you're having an out-of-body experience, but, you know, you still move. But I know it's less visual in comparison. Like, you know, when I did it, everything kind of just turned black, and well, like everything slowed down, like woof, 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 woof. My fan was going woof, 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 woof. I remember I looked in the mirror for a second, and there was a huge disco ball looking thing spinning in front of me. I could barely see my face, and I was like, oh fuck, and I go to lie down, and then I just couldn't tell if my eyes were open or closed, just blackness, and it seemed like there was stuff moving around in the blackness. But other people who've done it have talked about like a white light, like this white light that is like Brahma, or the source, you know, it's like the source of all existence, Indra's net level experience. And I feel like I've gotten that from high doses of ketamine. where it's like I become one particle, but at the same time it's like I'm part of everything. It's kind of hard to explain. But what I'm interested in is, you know, like mostly like what attracts me to psychedelics is the visuals. I find them fascinating. It just like they reveal to me things about the mind, and like you know, me being a visual learner, you know, it makes sense. So when I hear about this intense or less visual form of DMT, I'm like not super fucking motivated to do it. And you know, as I said, I did do it, and it was very intense. And you know, it's like I rarely have to do this, but I was just like, just breathe, just breathe, just truck. It'll be over. It'll be over soon. Kind of thing, you know. But what I'm interested in with this is, you know, I've heard this phenomenon of non-duality sort of described, and that means is essentially you leave this dualistic sort of polarized way of you know, of making decisions and judgments and ideologies and all that. And so by transcending that, you apparently, you know, get this one with everything feeling, to the point where like you could feel that, say, a tree behind me, you could feel the leaves growing on it. Like I remember Theo Vaughn was discussing his, the video says DMT, but from what he described, it sounded like 5-MeO. He described, you know, being a freckle, a bee, like the particle of sand, like just like you know, that's, I think that's why they call it the God molecule sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, let me know. Do you think I should be? Do you think I should do it? Or for those of you who have, if so, do you think it's you know? Because I enjoy going very deep on DMT. Like, I went very deep on DMT yesterday, and like I felt so disappointed. Like I felt like, oh geez, I've kind of gotten everything I can get from this. Like I'm doing fucking ridiculously high doses with, like, already high doses okay to like really knock me out of my body, but I don't feel quite satisfied in terms of how intense it is. Maybe that's just because the intensity of the 4-ACO DMT breakthrough that lasted like 2 hours, that was something like on a whole other level, but in a way like not as overwhelming as DMT can be when it's like flashing thousands of images in front of my very eyes in mere seconds. Yeah, like if I was to do it, I would do the synthetic stuff. A, because it's legal. I mean, I have some. I can order more if I want. B, because yeah, I mean, I feel like I want that next level of experience. But you know, when I do DMT stuff like that, I typically like to do it alone. I don't like to do it with other people, unless I'm doing a guided trip, in which I'll usually do it first just to assure the person that, you know, this didn't kill me, it won't kill you. You may feel like you're dying, but it's just ego death. Just surrender to it. You know, and they've never had a bad time. But yeah, like I gotta level up. I mean, I wish I could find a DPT free base. Like, even though it's darker and weirder, like I am very interested in what smoking it would be like. Because I can find like I can't find any information about what it's like. And you know, apparently there was this church that used it as their main sacrament, offshoot of the Navajo church, that uses peyote when peyote was made illegal or something. And they called it the light, so I'm assuming it's like kind of in between DMT and and then DMT and 5-MeO DMT. And mind you, I have done DPT to the point of almost breaking through, but like, you know, it was intranasal, and just the intranasal ROA is just so unpleasant, like it's not even worth it. I find 4-HO DPT, you can get much further, but I don't know if I want to, you know, do it intranasally, because that would mean I would be like breaking through for like 2 hours. If I smoke it, I'm sure it would be a much shorter duration. Because, you know, as I said, if I do long-lasting psychs, I try not to do heavy doses. Like with the 4-ACO DMT, like I was intending to do 25 to 25 milligrams, but I thought it wasn't going to kick in. I thought it was a dud, so that's why I did the, you know, snorted equivalent to about 30 milligrams more oral, and then it all hit me at once, and I was like, fucking wow. But I was still functional until I did the ketamine, of course. But yeah, I mean, in any case, like I find, you know, it's maybe it's just the intuitive psychologist, philosopher inside of me who, you know, just wants to learn more and more and more and more. I think, you know, exploration of inner self, conquering inner self is, you know, I think that's something worth doing before even considering going into outer space or whatever. You know, I think like astronauts should have to do like DMT and stuff like that to prepare for what it should be like to be in a completely different world. You know, and also to see, you know, like, because stuff like that, if they're a shitty person, it'll reveal that off the bat. So it would be an interesting screening process, but it'd be super controversial considering it's very, very illegal, which is silly. Frankly silly. I mean, I know that there are dispensaries in my city that sell DMT carts, but they suck. They fucking suck. Like, you know, there's this fucking eccentric, obviously rich arts student kid came up to the stand once when I was working there, and he was all like, I'm so high on DMT. I'm like, if you're high on DMT, how are you talking and standing? Like, if you're high on if you're like properly high on DMT, you should be knocked out cold. And he was like, really? And I was like, yeah, that's you're supposed to break through on it. Like, taking small amounts, in my opinion, is just a waste of time, and a waste of DMT. More importantly, but I was like, let me see this fucking thing. I gotta try it. And my boss, I thought he heard me do this. I didn't realize that this was gonna piss him off. But I know how to rip these things, because I did one that was 2,500 milligrams. It was a specially made pen for a friend of mine that had crystals all around it. I took 7 rips off it, and the thing is, I know with these things you gotta heat them up about 5 seconds, and then I did that. You know, got a like really big rip off it, and for a minute I was like, holy fuck, this thing is strong, because I felt like I was on like 4 grams of shrooms. But then after about a minute, like, it just started immediately tapering, like very, very quickly, like in a flash. I was like coming down, and I was like, dude, this shit sucks. And he was like, no, it doesn't. I learned that I'm a reincarnation of a Hindu god doing it. And I thought in my mind, this is why I don't hang out with fucking trippers, because they're mostly crazy. I mean, yeah, you could call me a little bit crazy, a little kooky, whatever. fuck? Fucking, I got a spider on me. Spider, here, relocate. I don't wanna hurt you, buddy, because you're spiders. Anyways, like, I was like, because he wanted to buy DMT freebase off of us, and the DMT freebase my boss has is like the best I've ever done. Like, it's so fucking strong, it's so clean at the same time. And I was like, dude, you know, if that's what you're thinking from hitting that thing, I don't think it's a good idea for us to sell you DMT. And that, my friends, is what a responsible purveyor of such things does. To see potential danger, be it, you know, psychological or physical danger, and to go, you know what, I'm not going to profit off of someone, you know, making themselves mentally ill from our product, like, you know, yeah, I'm, like, I don't want to do, like, you know, a heroic dose of, like, a long-lasting psychedelic again. I got that from, the 4-ACO DMT pretty much anyways, so, and that was totally unintentional. But as for my next trip, though, I'm gonna do maybe even tonight, just to celebrate. I'm gonna do a flip of MDMA and 4-HOMET, 4-HOMET, or as I like to call it, my 4-homie. It's a very weird psilocin analog. Like it reminds me of like a slowed down version of 2CB. Like it's what I imagine 2CE to be like, because 2CE is apparently like much more like a tryptamine than a phenethylamine. Oddly enough, I've only done 2CC, so in addition to 2CB, so I can't speak on that because it's like, you know, it's very regulated in my country. Like we have our own like weird like special designation for the controlling of the 2C analogs, which sucks. Yeah, I mean, so makes it hard to find, makes it very expensive. But you know, and we also have stuff like, you know, Foxy Methoxy and stuff that's legal, and you know, that's another one that I want to do again is the 5-MeO DIPT, I think it is. I have no interest in doing DIPT itself because it's apparently just like auditory hallucinations, like flang kind of thing. It's like, yeah, that's neat, but I can get that from a psychedelic with other things as well. But Foxy Methoxy, I remember doing it, and like a pretty high dose when I did it. I was just by myself, and I remember I watched Pitch Black, and I saw Herbie Hancock the next day, and I was still high when I saw Herbie Hancock. So I knew it was like a pretty fucking high dose, but I believe it was like 40 milligrams or something like that. And I found it a lot like acid. Like I had a lot of visuals that were they looked like Jolly Ranchers, but these patterns, like, or not Jolly Ranchers, sorry, Lifesavers. You know, those Lifesaver candies, like little circles kind of going through past my vision like that. And I've had that when I did the acid from the 60s twice, which, by the way, the first time I did that stuff, it was right after doing cocaine, and that is a terrible mixture. It was like one of the worst combinations ever. Like it made me so overstimulated, and like I was literally like my skin was red and flushed, and I was anxious, and I was jittery, and I felt like I couldn't talk. Just felt debilitating. But then again, this acid is probably the strongest acid I've ever fucking done. Like, Jesus Christ, I mean, the second time I did it, like, fucking everyone I was with who did it was just fucked, including my ex, who used to take like 15 hits at a time of regular acid. Yeah, so what are some of the other interesting research chemicals? I mean, 1P LSD is neat, but I find it's just an LSD prodrug. The only difference I really notice is that it lasts a little bit longer than LSD, like, which just is like, fuck, acid is long enough as it is, thank you very much. But I mean, I did have a very neat trip once where I did 150 micrograms, and this is the only time I've done a microdot, because you don't get microdots, or I've never seen window pane or microdot LSD. I've only seen liquid and blotter in my city. And 150 doesn't sound like a lot, but keep in mind, this was like maybe the second or third time I did psychedelics when I got back into doing them. I made sure to do it at like 6 in the morning because I knew it was going to be a long trip. I believe 1P LSD also has a steeper dose response curve, meaning that, you know, the higher the dose is, like, you know, the more intense it is than LSD 25 or ALD 52, which, you know, basically turned into the same thing. I remember the visuals are very different than LSD. Like it was like Cronenberg-esque body horror, H.R. Geiger's type or cosmic orgies when I closed my eyes. And it was actually very interesting because I was going out to visit a friend who ended up, like, I don't know, what he became, I just think is very unfortunate. You know, doing a lot of shitty cocaine, eating a lot of really bad food. He couldn't walk a block without losing his breath. You know, he was like almost 40, lives with his parents, which is, you know, I live with my parents, so I'm not judgmental about that, but like, he's an asshole through his parents. Like, he was like, Mom, give me a fucking ride, like Cartman, like, give me $40. I want to go to Boston Pizza and a ride. And it's like, it's a 5-minute walk, and I need a ride. So like, I'm kind of glad this ended up happening in a way, because I did not want to trip in that environment, because he's also someone who's got all these sick electronic setups, but like for video games and electronic music, but he doesn't do anything except for what he wants to do. You know, he's not big on taking suggestions, so in a way this was kind of a blessing, but it certainly had me frantic as fuck at the time. So I was on the SkyTrain, and this stuff's finally it's like really kicking in. It took a while. Took about an hour and a half. But I was like just fucking like looking out of the clouds, and I realized I'm on the wrong train, so I get off out in the sticks, and I must have dropped my phone by one of the bus stops, which had my wallet and my ID and everything in it. I don't know how I got back on the train, but I did, realized I didn't have it, and was like, fuck. And I had like 10% left on my phone, so I called my buddy. I'm like, dude, I'm gonna be late. Like, I gotta cancel my debit card. I gotta fucking call my dad. Fucking, like, I gotta get this shit figured out. Sorry. And, you know, he's like, oh, it's always something, isn't it? Like, you know, fucking just making himself the victim. But I went to, you know, Surrey Central, which is notoriously like shady fucking area full of people on really hard drugs, and I get out, and this is beginning of Corona, so I have my mask on, and my pupils are fucking huge, and I have no idea or anything. And I'm going up to the bus driver's like, hey, I lost this. I really need this back. Please help me. And I worked my way up the chain of command to the point where I was talking, like, I thought they'd just write me off as a crazy psychotic junkie, but luckily they didn't. So that was a plus for sure. But yeah, and eventually they got it back, and I got all my stuff back, and I was like, fuck yeah, baby. So I went home and fucking and just chilled at the tent, smoked some weed, and just tripped absolute balls for about 15 hours, and didn't end up going out to see this guy. But you know, it was such a tremendous victory, and you know, is a victory that in a way let me jam. One of the lovely perks of being a smoker. But like, yeah, it was a similar victory to me doing well in my psychology course, because I've never done anything like that before, and I'm not used to thinking in such regimental ways. Like, it was pretty. I'm just proud of myself. I was able to do that, and I actually have another psychology assignment that I submitted, and I could do a video essay on it if you want. It's my linking of anxiety and stress to central nervous system and immune system disorders, and I go really in depth on it, and I provide several examples of like I tell you how the different branches of psychology would interpret that, and I tell you you know, various examples of, you know, like genetics, you know, conditioning, and I have all the citations. Like, I talk about like how, you know, there's like a bunch of Finnish people who had during this famine, or after they experienced this famine, they ended up developing like a propensity for obesity and smoking, and this was passed on to their children. And so I tell you like the epigenetic side of that, and then also the you know, how that could be programmed into kids, you know, like basically different theories on what's going on there. So if you're interested in hearing that, I would really be happy to share it. It's about the same length as my Fordlandia, Calhoun's Rat Utopia overpopulation video essay. So yeah, let me know if you want to hear something like that, and also yeah, I'll let you know how the 4-HOMT and the MDMA goes. 4-HOMT is a really cool drug. Like I had one experience on it where it was like the one day this year where it snowed, and the snow wasn't all disgusting and fucking like turning gray and brown from the cars going through it. Like, it was freshly fallen snow, and me and my buddy just took the most magical walk after watching Pig with Nicolas Cage, which is one of my favorite Nicolas Cage movies. Like, it's like I think his most restrained role, and he emits pure professionalism there. But in any case, we finished that and we decided to go for a walk, and we walked about 17 blocks at least up through this park. And I remember the entire time I had this visual hallucination of a cartoonish electric little snowman that was blue, and it was like bouncing around my vision. Because the thing is, 4-HOMT has very interesting, weird, cartoonish visuals. I actually have a really cool 4-HOMT, funny ass 4-HOMT story that it's from the first time I did it. This was when it first came out, and I was like way younger than I am now, and this was back when I was with my way older ex. So I'll tell you that in just a sec. But yeah, in any case, just want to catch you up on all that. Bye.